Could you please put your presentation in the slide? Thank you.
Okay. Are you all able to see my screen?
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Cloupas Mahopo, and I'm a PhD candidate at the University of Free State in South Africa. So the focus of my presentation today will be on the operational characteristics of women street food vendors in the rural South Africa. As you all know that street food vending, this is one of the common source of food consumption in many urban towns and cities in Africa. And you know, the informal sector is an essential source of employment, dominated by informal trade, with the sale of food as one of the significant subsector within this trade. And in South Africa, there's about 1 million street vendors, of which over 70 sold foods. And this is one of the essential channels for food access for the food insecure population. And street food contributes enormously in many occasions, but at times this industry has been overlooked. It could be that the lack of formality of street food vending, meaning that there's little is known about their operations, and of which it is prone to be overlooked or ill-considered during the policy formulation, and it is disregarded in business strategy. Of this presentation is a third paper of my main study, whose objective is to develop a model for street food vendors selling ready-to-eat food in the Vhembe district. But the focus, as I've said, of this presentation will be on the characterization, focusing on business profile, employment, working hours, food sold, input pricing, record keeping practices, total running cost, and profit. And this was a cross-sectional survey where 511 street food vendors participated, and we conveniently sampled the participants. Only those who are selling cooked food. The study also went through some ethical approval. As you can see, we excluded street food vendors who were younger than 18 years and who did not have provide complete information. This is our study area. This is a South African map, where if you see on the far left hand, the two towns are indicated, where each dot in the town represents a location of a street food vendor. And these were the variables considered for this presentation. And we use SPSS for the analysis, and most of our data was skewed, hence we use median and IQR. So to test the 4 priority hypotheses, we characterized the operations of the street food vendors in terms of their background characteristics, where we use chi-square. And p-value were considered significant at 0.05. However, a Bonferroni adjustment decreased the significance value because we used 4 variables several times to test for the hypothesis. So our data showed that majority of these people were in one of the rural town called Thohoyandou, and most of them were females, single parent, and were aged between 35 to 40 years. And half of them had at least some high school education, and they were mostly full owners. And we also found that about 15% of the street vendors were migrants from Zimbabwe, but particularly in the small town called Musina. This is their profile on a weekly basis, where they were at least getting 1,300 rands. And you could see that most of them, they did not have support. They used savings to start the enterprises. At times they use money lenders, where they get money to establish their businesses. an indication that there's a lack of financial support given to street food vendors by the commercial banks. And at least one enterprise could hire one person, of which, and they were also working more hours than expected. And employees were paid on average 1,400 per month. You could see in this slide, it's showing age in business. Most of them are in the business for at least 1 to 10 years. A question could be that, is it because this is not sustainable or what? Or are they getting other opportunities after 10 years or not? Because most of them, they are only here between 1 and 10 years. And foods sold in this study were common, with chicken being the most sold food. Don't be surprised, the numbers are adding because each street vendor could sell more than one item. And green leafy vegetables were part of the foods that were sold, and foods were mostly cooked in the stores, very few cooked at home. This one is showing the street food pricing plate, of which most of them, they determined their own prices, less of association help, and reasons why they price the food the way they do. They consider fuel, quality of the food, economy, and the price sometimes are priced the same. Look at a full plate of beef and the chicken, it's 40 rands. What you can also note is that on a maximum price of chicken plate was 140. This one, it's a whole chicken that they are selling, where one could also note the issue of food safety of the types of foods that they are selling. They did not have any record keeping methods, but look at about 15% were able to do so, of which most they only kept sales records, and they do keep stock, but they kept their stocks, most of them in their storerooms, and the storerooms, it's not where they are selling, but somewhere else, because they do not have infrastructure where they could keep the stock. Some they keep their stocks at home. We also looked into some associations. We could see that time was mostly associated with citizenship, where migrants were the ones who were working more hours. Same foods were sold throughout the year. They sometimes take leftovers home to eat with their family members. And single parents were mostly spending at least 5,000 on the total cost of the business. Males also were part of this business. As you can see that they were even the ones who are making more profit than males. There's one thing that we need to note here also, that profit was also higher for South Africans. Just to note is women dominated in the street food vendors. The issue could be that the nature of the business focus only on cooked meals, where women are commonly involved in food preparation and serving of food than males. The other issue is a lack of employable skills and insufficient work experience. One other issue was noted that inadequate financial resources to enable women in South Africa to do other work forced them to be in this situation. Street food vendors worked more days and hours contrary to the Basic Employment Conditions Act of 1997 of South Africa, where they say at least less than 8 hours a week. Street food vending could assist in the reduction of unemployment. As you all know that there's a high unemployment in South Africa, but about 9% of the enterprise could at least have one employee. So if these people are trained on business establishment or business skills, they could improve while promoting food safety and consumption of nutritious food. So in conclusion, the street vendors encountered a wide range of constraints such as lack of essential services, including water, financial assistance from the formal institution. And we reflected on a high unemployment and lack of interest in the informal sector. Hence, these people are mostly participating in street food vending. And the study also highlighted the presence of migrants working as street food vendors in the Vembe district. Most of the vendors owned their business operating for 1 to 10 years. Food sold were common, such as pap, beef, chicken, and seasonal vegetables. So we recommend that if these people are trained, they could improve on their business managerial skills. And there is a need for capital and management for small business and food training for in rural street food vendors. Therefore, government officials, policymakers, NGOs could target street food vendors to offer training and microfinance to improve their business skills while promoting food safety, consumption and consumption of nutritious foods. So let me take this time to acknowledge the INFORMAS eSymposium to give me this opportunity and my institutions together with my promoters. I thank you.